How's it going, everybody? And good morning or good afternoon or whatever it is where you are. So I just wanted to make a video really quick to show you, in case you didn't know, in case you hadn't seen it anywhere else, a tip you can do, something that I actually found out about when I first started gardening. And I wanted to show you a perfect example of this, right? It's something you can do for your tomato plants. Now, this tomato plant right here, it's Michael's Portuguese Monster, I believe is the variety. And look at the leaves. Healthy, shaped normally, right? They look great. Nice and green and healthy and a good shape. They look awesome. Now, over here, holy moly, this is Big Zack. Both great varieties of tomatoes, by the way. And on Big Zack, you can see very strange, right? I mean, look at these leaves. They are screwed up. Totally misshapen, growing in, deformed. But if you notice, well, I probably can't show you that. Actually, yes, I can. So down here on the older leaves, they look a lot more normal. Way more normal. But then when you go up to the newer leaves, like I said, growing in distorted, all messed up, small. That is not what they're supposed to look like. So obviously there's something going on with this that's not going on with that. Now, I haven't had time yet to research and figure out what's going on. But I did notice it's happening on, let's see, this is I thought I saw it over here. Yeah, you can tell here a little bit. Maybe not as bad, but you can tell those leaves are starting to be kind of messed up. See that? This is a Sun Gold. Sun Gold is another fantastic variety. So the point being, and excuse my early morning voice and my bare feet and everything else. I got to do this before work. I don't have much time to prep and do much to make the video fantastic. But the point is this. Something's going on with the tomato plants, and I want to do whatever I can as quickly as possible to try to fix them, right? Before I ever even do the research to figure out what's wrong. That's actually a second priority. What you want to do is do anything you can to help them regardless of what's wrong. So here's what I'm going to do. So at this point, it's kind of irrelevant what's wrong with the tomato plants. All we need to know is what can we do to help them get through whatever it is, right? So you may have seen this before, the aspirin trick. So I got this 100 tablet, 325 milligram, which is perfect. Acid. Wow, you can tell it's early in the morning. Aspirin bottle of tablets at Dollar Tree for $1.25. How can you beat that? 100 tablets for $1.25. So what I'm going to do is crush up 2 of these. I'm just using 2 spoons to crush it in between. And then I'm going to mix it up in a gallon of water. Let me do that real quick and I'll get back to you. So there it is, crushed up. I'm going to put it in the water. I haven't filled it up all the way yet. But after you crush it up, put it in the water, stir it up, let it dissolve completely. And by the way, don't get some other strength of aspirin, and don't get something that's something added to it. Like a lot of them will have something else like caffeine or something like that. And don't get the coated ones. Just get the plain, simple, uncoated 325 milligram aspirin, and you take 2 of them, dissolve them in the water. Let me do that real quick, and I'll get back to you. Okay, I do want to point out that ideally it's best to treat your tomato plants with this before anything goes wrong, to build up the immune system of the plant before anything goes wrong. But I didn't have time for that, and because I didn't know anything was going to go wrong, and I was just busy doing a million other things. But ideally, if you can, it's best to treat them early on before anything happens. Now, this is going to be obviously diluted, and it's going to be mixed and added to the root zone. Just basically water your plants with it. You can also put it in a spray bottle and use it as a foliar spray. Everything I've read says you can do it both ways. I'm only going to water it for the time being. I'm not going to spray the leaves, just because I only have one spray bottle and it's being used for something else right now. So I can't really do that right now. But if you do spray the leaves, I would say do it when they're not going to be in direct sunlight and they have time to dry out. So I wouldn't do it at night, because night tends to be very humid and stuff does, plants don't want to dry out during a long, humid, dark night. So maybe do it like early in the morning or maybe later in the evening or something, where it has time to where it can dry out. Or you can do it in the middle of the day if you want. If you stick your plant in shade, if it's in a container like mine, you can put it in a shaded area while it dries out. You just don't want a lot of that liquid sitting on the leaves for a long period of time and not drying out. So just do it however you want to do it, to where you can do that foliar spray and give it time to dry out before it's exposed to the sun and all that stuff. So like I said, I'm going to throw that in the root zone. I'm going to spray it later when my spray bottle is available as a foliar spray. Do it both ways. And what happens here is, I think they call it the SARS response, but regardless, is there's an ingredient in here in the aspirin that is similar enough to a hormone that's in your tomato plants, and it just mimics the response. So it's essentially tricks your tomato plant into thinking, oh, there's something wrong. I better send my immune system into overdrive. So what it does is it toughens up your plant. It tricks it by having something similar enough to its natural response, or its natural chemical reaction, or whatever that goes on inside of it, to make it say, hey, that must mean that we've got a disease. Let's kick our immune system into high gear, which is, it's better. Like, that's why it's better to do it beforehand, because then you have the immune system like supercharged before the disease ever hits. So there's been a lot of research on this, and people say, I have seen stuff that says it works on anything in the nightshade family. I've also seen, people say specifically, hey, I've used it on my pepper plants too with great success. But I've heard so many good things about this, not only boosting the immune system, but having healthier plants, more production, better fruit quality, all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to mix this up and throw it on there, and I'll show you that here in a second. As you can see, it dissolves pretty easily. I'm going to stir that a little more and let it dissolve the rest of the way, but it does dissolve pretty easily. Obviously, that's a gallon jug. But it's important to remember that everything I've read everywhere, a million different sources, says the recipe is similar to this. In other words, I've seen some people say, 325 milligrams for a gallon. I've seen, different variations, but they're all fairly similar, pretty close to being the same. And I've seen a lot of research that suggests that it's not an exact thing. Like, don't worry too much about overdoing it. Like, if you accidentally put 3 aspirin in there or something, it's not going to kill your plant. So while the recipe is fairly similar all the way across the board, it's also probably one of those things where you don't have to worry about having it absolutely exact. So I'm going to make sure this is dissolved and stirred up the rest of the way. I'm going to add it to the root zone, and then basically you're done. And you will have a supercharged plant that is much more resilient and much better equipped to fight off things that have gone wrong, pest, disease, whatever. I don't know what's wrong with the leaves on those. I will update you later on if I figure it out. Now, you may be wondering about the frequency with which you can treat this. Everything I've read has pretty much said something along the lines of you can do this every 10 to 14 days. So it's probably right along the same vein as fertilizers. If you've noticed on fertilizer bottles and stuff, it'll say apply this every 7 to 14 days. So it's probably roughly the same thing, 1 to 2 weeks or a week and a half to 2 weeks. You can do it around that interval. If you're worried about it, you can make it a little longer, like say 14 to 20 days or whatever. But I've always done it in the 1 to 2 week, somewhere in there, frequency. So it's something you can do like that all throughout the season if you want. I've done it a million times with fantastic results. Now, this is not a cure-all. It doesn't mean that once you put it on your plant then there's no, it's totally impervious and not susceptible to anything, but it does help a lot. And not just with fighting off things, like I said, uh, strength and vigor and tomato production and fruit quality and I mean everything. I've root rot. I mean, there's so many things that it helps for. It just makes the tomato plant more robust all the way around. So anything, late blight, early blight, anything that could possibly affect it, it's harder for that to take hold and be able to mess your tomato plant up. So let's throw this on here. And several of my tomato plants are affected by whatever this is, but I figured this was the best example to use because it was the most severe on this plant. I mean, a bird just dive bombed me. I mean, that's ridiculous. This is a very large, vigorous plant, and to have, Big Zach is huge. To have this kind of distortion, it's crazy. So I'm going to put it on there. And by the way, I know these are not food safe, but I've read just as much stuff, research saying that it's fine to use that as I have the opposite, saying that it's, you have to have food safe containers. I've read basically 50-50. So I thought, well, I guess I'll take my chances because I could not find any large containers on Marketplace or anything like that recently that were, large enough and food safe. So if I had infinite resources and I had my, I could just do whatever I wanted, yes, I would have all food safe containers for the stuff I grow food in. But sometimes when you're in between a rock and a hard place and you can't find anything else, you have to make that decision. And I know people, my dad's been growing stuff for 50 years. And a lot of people say, I don't mean just my dad, I'm saying I've seen a lot of research online saying that unless the tomatoes themselves, the fruit, the portion you eat, actually contacts that, then you're fine. So again, I've seen both sides of the equation. So this is all dissolved. I'm going to pour it on there. All right, tomato plant. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. And a gallon is not too much in a container that size. You see how free draining the soil is. It doesn't just sit there. It's got good moisture retention, but it does drain out of there pretty quick. You don't want to see pooling. You want to see it drain out pretty fast. You want good moisture retention. You want it to hold that moisture during the day when it's hot, but you don't want it to sit in there either. So now that tomato plant has been treated, I'll try to keep you guys updated on the progress I see, but I just wanted to make a video about this because I want to focus a lot in my channel on the backyard gardener. I don't mean solely, but the type of people that like, hey, I want to do this, but I don't have the space, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and so on and so forth. So I want to always try to show, in addition to all the other kind of stuff I want to do on my channel, I want to show people, hey, here's a cheap and easy, quick, I want to have those methods to show people, hey, look at this. It's cheap, it's easy, it's quick, it's blah, blah, blah. Or you can do it in a small space or so on and so forth. Something to help you with your garden when your resources are limited. So this is insanely cheap, insanely easy way to, it doesn't really get any better than this. I mean, how many things can you do to help your garden that costs like $1 or $2? So it's a fantastic, cheap, easy way to treat all your tomato plants and possibly other plants. I'll go into that more in the future. And basically supercharge them. A lot of people say it kind of does the same sort of, or it has the same sort of effect as grafting on a tomato plant. So you're taking a tomato plant that has X amount of vigor and disease resistance and so on, and you're giving it that extra little boost. So for those people who are interested in the effects of grafting, but they don't actually want to graft, this might be a close approximation to those same sorts of benefits you get out of grafting. And This is something that has been well documented. There's tons of research out there. It's not just one person saying, "Hey, I threw some aspirin on my plant," and it's something that has been really well documented. So anyway, if you want to give your plants the best chance at being the best versions of themselves they can be during the growing season, this aspirin trick is something you may want to try. So there you go. That is treated. I'm going to do the other ones too, just to be on the safe side. But I just wanted to make a video showing you guys how to do that. I'm sure some of you have already seen it, but you haven't on my channel. So there's a nice little quick tip to help you supercharge your garden. Hope you got something out of this, and I will see you in the next video, and take care, and I hope your gardens are extremely bountiful this year. But I'll probably be making another video when I get off work, so it won't be long before I have some more content. God bless, and see you guys next time.